Amit Bhaiya, start please.
Welcome you all for this MSME decoding session. Today we have selected this topic on the MSME Development Act 2006 decoding because in this COVID-19 pandemic situation, government has made some changes in this act. So we are decoding this, and this act plays the vital role for the development of the country because many industries which is covered under this act. Now I request our President Vishnu Tulsian to give some word, to say some word.
Thank you, Amit. I am really immense pleased to welcome my own brother Vikas Jainji and Nidhi Tataji from Bangalore to this VIP association, which is its own, his own house, own platform, own everything you can say. And friends, we chosen this topic after the announcement on 13th May by Atmanirbhar Bharat by Honorable Finance Minister with MOS Finance, in which the vision of the PM was kept before us, 5 pillars of economy. And most probably, I recall, after 15 measures, 7 measures were announced for the MSME only. And because MSME is contributing a very good part in the growth of the economy, in the growth of the GDP, so it is very important that the government should take care of this sector, which is unorganized also. So there are a lot of things which is very important to be known. A lot of schemes are being run by the government, but we are unknown. We are not knowing about it. So for that, we requested our guest speakers, Vikas Jainji and our Nidhi Tatiaji, to share their expert views before us. And some of the questions which were raised by the viewers in advance, we have shared with him. They will take care of these programs. One announcement is that once have any of the questions with respect to MSME, please write on the chat box only, so that it can be taken the last for the better understanding and without any disturbance of the current proceedings. Now, I request CA Rajkumarji Bidasaria, our mentor of this committee, and who is the past president in 2004-5 of the VIP, to take the charge and go ahead. I request Bidasaria to take the charge. Bidasaria ji, kindly please.
Thanks, Vishnuji. I am pleased that though I am not visible to you, but you are all visible to me, and my voice is of course it is reaching you.
Yeah, sure.
I am pleased that I have been given the responsibility of mentoring today's session. This is the second study circle meeting of the new team WIPCA, besides group discussion meetings and webinars for the year 2021. I am sure that our new, young and dynamic team 2021 shall be performing well throughout the year, including this Corona period. Friends, we have 725 plus strong members, and we are the only association in Kolkata exclusively for chartered accountants. We regularly organize group discussions, study circle meetings, seminars, webinars, and conferences on the topics of professional interest, healthcare, and motivational subjects for the benefit of our members. Our study circle generated 16,527 CP hours in the year 2019-20. And I am sure that this year, Team WIPCA is going to generate at least 25% more CP hours under the dynamic leadership of CA Vishnu Tulsian. Friends, COVID-19 has changed the way of our life, and so our professional life also. We are now organizing virtual meetings instead of physical meetings. Friends, MSME is the sector with greatest employment potential and contributes substantially to the GDP of our country. Though the sector is unorganized, but it has a very vital role in making our country organized. Both central and state governments are taking actions for increasing role of MSME sector in the upcoming Atmanirbhar Bharat. And in fact, government has taken many measures to improve the position of this MSME sector so that it can give a faster result. Friends, today we have two very learned speakers with us. Our first speaker is CA Vikas Jain from Mumbai, and he is past chairman of EIRC of the Institute of Chartered Accountants. Our second speaker is CA Nidhi Tatia. She is from Bangalore. Today, both the learned speakers, CA Vikas Jain and CA Nidhi Tantia, will enlighten us on the subject decoding MSME provisions. Now, without taking much of your time, I invite CA Sandeep Agarwal, co-chairman, to introduce our today's learned speakers. CA Sandeep Agarwal, please. CA Sandeep Agarwal. I think CA Sandeep Agarwal is not visible and we are not unable to listen. I request CA Vishnu Tulsian to proceed further.
Amit? Amit?
Yeah, Amit, please proceed with the introduction of the speakers. Please unmute. Amit, please unmute.
Thank you, Bidisariya ji. Now I introduce our both the learned speaker. First one, Shri Vikas Jain. Vikas Jain is a practicing CA, partner in B. Jain and Company. He is past chairman of EIRC ICA. His area of practice is debt and equity, M&A, resolution of NPA. And Mr. Nidhi Tatia, she is founder director at Dev Mantra Financial Services, is a seasoned professional CA, CF Information System Auditor, ISO trained. She has more than 20 years of experience in handling diversified financial functions, compliance management, direct and indirect taxation, international tax, project finance, etc. She specializes in M&A transactions and has the honor of leading various successful due diligence, buy or sell side advisory, transaction structuring, and business negotiation. She is passionate about training and skill development and conduct frequent sessions for startups and SMEs. She has represented India in key international events and believes in the India growth story. Now I request Shri Vikas Jain to start his deliberation.
Thank you very much, Amit. First of all, good evening, each one of you. It's indeed a homecoming for me, coming to VIP Road Chartered Accountant Study Circle. Thank you very much, President Vishnu Tulsian, for having invited Nidhi and I, both of us. And thank you, Bidasariya ji. It was indeed, good to interact with you after a pretty long time. Rahul, Amit, all young Turks, taking over the technology side of this virtual platform. Now, I know this is under recording, so we should be very, very cautious of what we are talking about. But still, कुछ तो बनता है थोड़ा एक tone set करने में for this evening session. So पहला तो बंधु ये देखिए कि शनिवार की शाम है. यूं तो अगर normal times होता तो हम लोग कहीं ना कहीं, we would have been out with friends or families enjoying our evening. But then, again, Vishnu has ensured that, we are here in a learning session this evening. और एक और बात बता दूं, आफ्टर अ लॉन्ग टाइम आई एम स्पोर्टिंग अ शर्ट, तो देख रहे थे यार सब सही है ना, मतलब फिटिंग सब ठीक आ रही है. सो दैट वाज अ चेंज ओवर एक्चुअली. अदरवाइज नॉर्मली हमें हाफ पैंट और टी शर्ट पहन के पूरे दिन, मतलब सारा दिन ऐसे बिता रहे हैं, वर्क फ्रॉम होम चल रहा है. सो दिस इज ऑन अ वेरी वेरी लाइटर नोट. व्हाट डू वी हैव इन स्टोर फॉर अस, फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस फ्रेंड्स? ऐसा है कि वील ट्राई टू मेक दिस सेशन मोर इंटरेक्टिव. Of course, President का ये mandate है कि questions would be taken in the end, but we have received, a barrage of questions actually, which Nidhi and I will try and decipher as the presentation progresses. What we intend to do this evening is, post this introductory talk for that I have initiated. Nidhi will commence with the presentation, and in the course of the presentation, we'll also take up a couple of live case laws. What really is affecting our profession and our day-to-day life, and how exactly we should take benefit or advantages of the schemes that have been spelled out. It's a matter of great pride that yes, VIP Road Chartered Accountant Study Circle caters to chartered accountants at large, and the only association in our city of joy wherein we are catering only to chartered accountants. But friends, along with that, we are assuming a responsibility in the sense Apart from being partners in nation building, we have to do a lot of hand holding. Hand holding in terms of guiding, educating, coaching our clients to face the onslaught of the unprecedented times that we are exposed to right now. Now, talking about the present times, this started off as a health pandemic, but not restricting only to health pandemic on a standalone basis. This is now translated into an economic crisis and economic pandemic. So it's a combine of health as well as the economic pandemic. The recent announcement of the GDP for the first quarter was of course more or less on expected lines, but by and large, some points or some percentage here or there was close to about 24%. Over a period of time that we have seen, there has been a lot of unemployment. Production has come to a virtual standstill. And in the initial period of the lockdown, we noticed and witnessed there was a complete lull in the economic activity across the length and breadth of the country. And why standalone to our country itself? This was a phenomenon across the globe. And it's really unprecedented. I mean, as many heads could roll in, we are yet to find a solution. So talking about vaccine or medicines, these are still distances away. There are, some ray of hope coming, on a day-to-day basis. But again, this is shelled out by something uneven happening. So we are still in a very, very confused state. Be that as it may, we have to live with the present pandemic, the present crisis, and assume a more stellar role in guiding and assisting our clients to navigate these tough times. The opening remarks by Vidasarya ji as well as Vishnu that yes, MSME and SME do play a very, very important role in any developing or growing economy. And this has been the backbone of the economy in our country as well. We are no exception to the rule. So two important segments, MSME, SME, as well as the services sector, have been contributing very strongly to the growth of our economy in employment generation, in production level, and lending hands to the ever-growing development in our country. Friends, having said so, we are all aware of the situation. The government has risen to the occasion. They have announced a slurry of packages and announcements made as early as on 13th May. Ever since we have been seeing the lockdown commencing from the third week of March, possibly 23rd or 24th was the first day that the lockdown started. And 13th of May, we had the packages, rolled out from our Ministry of Finance. Now, this was very aptly termed as Self-Reliant India Movement, Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. The 5 pillars which the President made a mention about hovers specifically around economy, infrastructure, the systems, vibrant demography, and the demand. Now, these are the essential segments that has been identified. The Prime Minister has gone on record, laying a lot of stress on these segments. The special economic packages announced by Honorable Finance Minister ran into announcing of almost 20 lakh crore of packages, which was a stimulus to our economy, covering almost 10% of the GDP of our country, and trying to cater rather to every segment of our industries, be it cottage, MSME, the laborers affected, the middle class economy, the industries, large sectors, so on and so forth. In a nutshell, we can say that these announcements made by the Honorable Prime Minister and the Finance Minister were bold reforms covering sectors across. There was an important saying going on along with Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan that was vocal for local and make them global. So we as chartered accountants, we as professionals really need to come forward, translate the various packages that have been announced by the government from time to time, making it happen and guiding our clients as to what best they can make advantages to their businesses, and so that the cycle of the economy is set rolling no sooner than later. Having said so, this evening, friends, Nidhi and I will try and translate and decode certain economic packages that have been announced vis-a-vis what are the advantages that we can take, we can make our clients aware of, and the processes involved. And in the process, as mentioned by me right in the beginning, we'll take up a couple of case laws to highlight and bring before you as to what are the lacuna, the loopholes, or difficulties we are facing in helping our clients execute some of the offerings on board by the Honorable Minister, Finance Minister from our side. I guess, friends, I'll chip in more and more as and when the presentations are on. Nidhi has done a wonderful job. She's prepared a beautiful presentation. While running through, we'll take up a lot of issues on hand as well as case laws again and again. I'm making a mention. It's over to you, Nidhi, to commence your presentations. Thank you very much, friends. Please unmute yourself, Nidhi. Please unmute yourself.
So that shows the excitement, like after a long time meeting all fellow chartered accountants in Calcutta. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's real fun to meet everyone, and it's more like a discussion forum. When I meet CAs across other parts of the country, there's always one realization which comes back to me: Calcutta jaisa koi bhi nahi hai. The kind of brains, the kind of strategies that we find out to overcome various government initiatives. That's truly awesome. So with that
Sorry,
note,
Nidhi, 1 minute, please. Nidhi,
yes.
just 1 moment. For the information of the entire house, Nidhi hails from Calcutta. It was about 20 years back. She had relocated to Bangalore after her marriage. So, Nidhi, you are very much a Calcuttan by all
Yes,
means.
definitely. And I have worked with Vikasji. That's also an honor. And it's a true pleasure that we are able to take forward our relationship, in such an, positive manner. Thank you, Vidya Saryaji. I think you are the senior most here. So my special thanks to you, Vishnu, Amit, Rahul, all of you. Thanks for the, warm introduction. When we start with this discussion on Atmanirbhar Bharat, like me and Vikalji, many of you would have attended the other sessions that we have taken together. But trust me, friends, whenever we come with a presentation, there is some amendment. There are, some new ideas which strikes us, and we think about, incorporating it in our new presentation. The idea is that the audience should truly benefit out of the presentation, whatever new amendments are there. Let's discuss and see how best we can help our clients. Majority of us work with MSMEs, and the subject for today is decoding MSME provisions, which includes inter alia, the government incentives which has been announced. It also includes, gamut of direct tax amendments, indirect tax amendments, various other opportunities which are otherwise available for MSMEs. So in our presentation, we have tried to cover each and every aspect. All of you are CAs, so I'm sure everybody of you are aware of the changes. In fact, more than what me or Vikasji can actually present here today. So let's make it interactive towards the end. Let's discuss any new ideas which emerge out of here. So against the the preamble which Vikasji had mentioned, in March, actually the government has invoked the Disaster Management Act. And after that, all legal counsels, all professionals, we started exploring what is the impact, whether the force majeure clause will be applied, businesses are not running, so whether salaries has to be paid to our, various staff, various workers in the factories. So host of questions. I think we have come a long way from there. While all these issues are now at rest, the bigger issue is about the economy, because the quarter 1 results are all there available, and we have seen the biggest slump ever in the history. So it's a big time, and I think CAs have a great responsibility to anchor our clients out of this mess, give them the best strategies which are possible to overcome the liquidity issues. So here we start with the presentation. So majorly there are, if we have to bucket the challenges, there are 3 areas which we feel are very, very crucial. And on that premises, we have, split the session. One is to decide whether the entity, whether any of our clients' businesses qualifies as a MSME. There are many companies who are into services, who are into manufacturing. A part of the business transaction is into trading. So let's understand whether the business qualifies as a MSME. There are a lot of questions around this question. And what are the benefits which were announced in the stimulus package? We'll just run through them. Various other positive strategies, how the new deals are happening in the market, and of course, what all advantages we can bring, for our clients as such. So the first problem, is as a professional is to decide whether my client falls in the criteria of MSME or not. When we would have cleared our CA exam, probably the definition of MSME was different. There was a distinction between manufacturing service enterprises. Now, with the latest announcement of the government in the month of May 2020, they have now kind of merged manufacturing and services enterprises together. Maybe because services as such has been prospering in a big manner, so government has realized there is no requirement to bifurcate manufacturing and services companies. The investment criteria for a micro, it's just a recap. I'm sure all of you know about it, but just a small
Nidhi,
recap.
please commence your presentation. Nidhi, please commence your presentation.
Can you see the MSME slide, Vikasji? Hello. Can you see the MSME slide? I mean, just reconfirming. A small company has an investment limit of less than 10 crores and turnover less than 50 crores. A medium enterprise typically has an investment of less than 50 crores, turnover less than 250 crores. Now, even here, the government has modified the definition in the month of June. Earlier, the investment criteria was 20 crores. The government realized this is quite small a limit, the way Indian companies were prospering. So the investment was further revised to 20 crores and the turnover limit to 250 crores. There are various other initiatives, which has been taken to further boost the medium enterprises and incentivize them to go for listing on the BSE. With this, there are a lot of questions whether retail enterprises, trading concerns, they would qualify as a MSME. So since I have seen few of the questions, let me take while we are on this slide. Retail and wholesale trading does not fall in the definition of MSME. Supposing there is a company which also has a services element and there is a small trading business, the MSME still can be taken for the services part of the business. Companies who have manufacturing and services, for them it's only one Udyog Aadhaar registration number which is required. Because they are having two parts of the business transaction, it is not required to create two separate Udyog Aadhaar registrations. Government has clarified all these as part of the FAQs which has been published. So coming to the next, government incentive is basically in 3 parts. One is access to finance, access to marketing, and third is various relaxations in terms of various statutory relaxations. These are the amendments that we have. The definition of turnover has changed, registration, again the procedure has changed, and the due date for renewal of registration has been decided as 31st of March 21. The new registration has to be taken in this particular portal, which is udyamregistration.gov.in. There is only one government portal where the registration facility is available. Whatever else when we Google and comes probably could be marketing agencies who have made these different portals. Right, so anybody who has taken an old MSME registration once again is required to renew their registration before 31st of March 2021. Now there are questions, why should anyone take a MSME registrations? Like, all our clients have different questions. But my suggestion always is there is no harm in taking a registration, and it can always bring in some new benefits rather than providing an obligation on you to file your annual returns or getting, the registration renewed. So there are no further compliance requirement. It is once that you have taken a registration, there are some benefits which are possible, to be availed by you. Uh, Earlier also this MSME, definition, there is a complete act which is called MSME Act enacted in the year 2006. We had hordes of benefits. I am not sure how many of us have actually availed it, but there was a benefit as far as interest rate is concerned for MSME loans. Registered entities were required to be paid by the buyers within 45 days. Various tenders, when we apply for, there is a waiver in the earnest money security deposit. Again, it's quite an incentive because otherwise we might rethink, whether to apply for a tender or not to apply. Marketing, development assistance, and export promotion by the government. In reality, there are many companies who enjoy this benefit. They go as part of the delegation for various international events. So all these benefits continue in the current era also. Apart from that, government has given some more incentives in the form of access to finance. Out of the 20 lakh crore which the government has announced, 3 lakh crore basically was to be advanced as guarantee-free, collateral-free automatic loans for businesses. Here there is an important thing to understand that this benefit is not only available for MSMEs, this can be given to any other business enterprise. The definition says including MSMEs. So any business, any trader, anybody who has an outstanding limit of 50 crore from any nationalized bank or from any other private bank, and they have a turnover of up to 250 crore, were entitled to get a 20% top-up loan from the same bank. There was no requirement to offer any additional security, additional documentation for the purpose of availing this limit. If our practical, approach goes, this is the biggest benefit which the government could have extended. And there's so much pressure on each bank, to submit a weekly report on what is the kind of disbursement which has happened under this scheme. This scheme is available till 31st of October or till the government exhausts this 3 lakh crores which has been sanctioned particularly for this. This loan will be given to the company or the business organization.
Nidhi, sorry to interrupt once again, Nidhi. There is a share screen button on your the bottom side of your screen.
Yes.
Please use that to share the presentation. You have been made a co-host. You have not been able to see your presentation.
Okay. Now is it visible?
Yes, it is visible, ma'am. Please proceed.
Okay. I thought I have tested in the beginning, so you are able to see that. So sorry for that. So I'll just run through quickly the slides which I have, skipped now. The agenda for today, existing MSME and the new definitions. The important MSME benefits which were there available prior to the current announcement, and this 3 lakh crore guarantee-free, collateral-free loan which the government has offered. There is a big difference. The government has actually made 3 announcements. One was this guarantee-free loan. There was another announcement for 20,000 crore subordinate debt for MSMEs. And the third announcement is pertaining to the equity infusion for MSMEs through fund of funds. It's important, like, we used to study for a CA exam. If you find out the differences in the 3 schemes, then actually we can appreciate what would apply to a particular client. So this scheme, 3 lakh crore, this money would be advanced to the business entity per se. There is no loan which can be taken by the promoter or the director in personal capacity. This subordinate debt is for MSMEs who have certain stress which shows in the business performance even prior to the pandemic period. This loan will be sanctioned to the promoter of the entity, who in turn has to infuse this money into the business as an equity. Fund of funds is not a debt transaction. It is completely equity in nature, wherein the government becomes a investor in the business. Hence, there is no risk which is involved, if you are entitled to the equity fund. This 3 lakh crore, earlier the limit of outstanding was 30 crore, which the government has further increased it to 50 crore. The idea is to include as many more companies as possible here. There is no prepayment penalty to be charged in case of early repayment of the loan. And the entire loan has to be sanctioned for a period of 4 years, and 1 year completely is a moratorium. Apart from that, government has also announced, a moratorium up to 31st of August on all kind of EMI payments on their various loans. Of course, MSMEs who are stressed out, for them 20,000 crore is a big amount. This facility is available only for MSMEs, unlike the previous one, which was also available to other business units. Here, the money would be advanced to the promoter of the business, and they would further invest the same into the business. Now, KV Kamath Committee, this is actually a paper scheme as on date, because the guidelines, how this would be implemented, how the identification of the account will be done, etc., was not known. So now with the KV Kamath report, probably, we feel that this actually will be implemented, and the stressed accounts will actually get a benefit out of the Atmanirbhar Bharat announcement. So what does the KV Kamath Committee say? They have introduced new ratios here, which, Vikasji will run through, because there are a lot of practical cases wherein these actually get applied for. They are very important. And apart from that, for high value loan account, the proposal itself needs to be approved by the committee. Vikasji, would you like to run through these ratios?
Sure. So prior to that, Nidhi, if you can come to the 3 lakh crore slide, there are a couple of points that we can take through. Friends, 2 or 3 points over here I would like to make a mention. The earlier limit actually was 25 crores, which has since been enhanced to 50 crore, and outstanding as on 29th February 2020. The second is initially the turnover criteria was pegged at 100 crore, which has now been taken to 250 crore. And third point is the moratorium, which Nidhi, incidentally, initially it was, 31st May enhanced to 31st August. And now Supreme Court, as on 10th September, they've enhanced the period up to last week of September actually. Another point is, in respect of these loans, there has been a cap on the interest segment. The NBFCs can charge maximum of 14%, and banks can charge up to 9.25. That depends on bank to bank, and the rates at which they are lending. But that is the limit that has been finalized. Nidhi has already made a mention that this 3 lakh crore, this includes for businesses, including MSMEs. Nidhi, take it further.
Yes. This one?
Yeah, no, yeah, the Kamath, KV Kamath. So friends,
Very hot one. Very hot.
yeah. So this was on the cards actually to give a thrust to the segments, the business segments performing in India. In fact, the Reserve Bank of India has actually traveled hand in hand with the government, announcing a slurry of measures actually in order to infuse more liquidity in the system along with the banking sector as well. And as a matter of fact, they've gone on to reduce the repo rate on 2 occasions so as to infuse more liquidity, increasing the moratorium from time to time. This has had an impact on the functioning of the business community as such, more particularly the MSME and SME, who were more stressed. As a result of the lockdown, there was a complete breakdown of production and revenue to these business houses. So the government has thought fit on coming up with sustainable solution. Still, that is still a far way to go. We still need a lot of resolutions or a lot of policy measures to be spelled out from the government so as to take care of these production revenue cycles that have been impacted in a big way. Now, as on 6th August 2020, the Reserve Bank of India had gone ahead and made announcements or improvement in the resolution that they had announced way back on 7 June 2019. Of late, an expert committee under a banker, erstwhile very reputed banker, Mr. K.V. Kamath, that was made, and he made the report was presented to the government as on 4th September, which was announced as on 7th of uh, September 2020. So today we are talking on the 12th of September, and this, is a step in the right direction for restructuring of stressed account, which has taken shape. And now these are some of the important announcements made by the KV Kamath committee. Friends, if you see on the screen, there are 5 important ratios that has to be taken care of. Once these are addressed, this will definitely go ahead in increasing the viability of the project and the borrowers, the stressed borrowers, so to say, especially on a long-term sustained basis. These announcements, I'm sure this will go a long way in helping these stressed accounts revive no sooner than later. What this committee has done, they've identified 26 sectors depending on the severity of impact and depending on each and specific sectors and the characteristics of such sectors, wherein the benefit of these announcements would be taken care of. Now, if you actually go through the 5 ratios that are shown on your screen, normally the 3 ratios, 1, 3, and 4, these are normally we use and analyze them for and on behalf of our clients once we are approaching any lenders or any institutions per se. But what has to be taken into account is there has been a slight drift in the definition of these ratios. They are basically to take care of the debt per se, the profitability and the cash flow which such units as a result of introduction of such key features are introduced, whether they are able to sustain and survive the stress of the present times or not. So if you go through the different ratios, they've made a mention of total outside liabilities to adjusted tangible net worth. Now, normally in normal circumstances, you see that TOL to TNW ratio of 3, 3.5 is an acceptable range. But here there has been a drift, whereas for sectors such as say chemical sector or cement sector, the ratios 3 to 3.5 or 4 is good enough. But on the contrary, let's say we talk about the real estate sector, which is very, very hard hit. For them, this ratio is pegged at about 10. The debt to EBITDA, what do we mean by this? The debt to EBITDA is nothing but, if you go through the second ratio, the total debt comprising of long-term and short-term divided by the earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. This again gives rise to the fact that yes, whether at all the businesses under consideration as a result of infusion of these restructuring mechanisms, they are able to survive the onslaught of the present times or not. Here again, there has been a rationale and there has been stipulation to various sectors, as I made a mention in the beginning. If you actually see, in last couple of years, there were a lot of sectors who were badly affected. Aviation was one of them, infrastructure was there, the road sector, the finance sector, they were all, in the midst of a lot of stress even before the corona effect or the COVID effect came into picture. So these sectors also find a place in the present times. In course of our presentation, we'll also show as to how the finance sector has also benefited. If I talk about the finance sector, we talk of the NBFCs, we talk of MFIs, we talk of the various banks who have now been flushed with funds. The question arises as to how much of these benefits actually percolates to the grassroots level. When I spell out the grassroots level, it means the MSME and SME segment as to what benefits they're currently drawing. In course of dealing with a lot of these clients, we have come across a lot of lacunae, a lot of hiccups, a lot of stumbling blocks that have come by our way. First and foremost thing, friends, please remember whatever announcements that are being made, it does not become a birthright for the borrowers. These are actually aids given to the lenders, to the institutions, to the NBFCs, to the banks to come in aid for and on behalf of the borrowers. I specifically make a mention about a particular case that I've been, harping upon. In an instant case, there is a pharmaceutical company for whom we had applied to their bankers to go in for an emergency relief of up to 20% what the government has made an offer. So say for instance, my account has to be standard, my outstanding up to 50 crores and a turnover not exceeding 250 crores as on 29th February. These are the primary criterions or the considerations. Now in the instant case that I'm talking about, this MSME, I mean incidentally this company is an MSME, it had an outstanding of about 12 crores as on 29th February, which is again a standard account. We applied to the bank as on 26th May, if my memory serves me right, that was the day when we had applied to the bank to grant us an emergency line of credit relief to the extent of 2 crore 40 lakhs. We are talking on the 12th of September and till date, this company is struggling, trying to make as many submissions as possible to the bankers, but the bankers have turned a deaf ear so far. Not only this, there had been announcements for moratorium for May, August, and now extended up to September. Believe you me, my dear friends, this moratorium was allowed and acceptable to the bank as early as in last week of August. Last 3 months, we've been struggling with the bank and the client per se, traveling here and there, making n number of representations before all the authorities in the bank. So this is a practical difficulty. I'm saying why I brought up before the house was, it is not a birthright. If you say, sir, मेरा ये बाकी है, मेरे को 20% आपको देना ही पड़ेगा. There is a catch over here. Government ने क्या किया? They have left the discretion to the lenders to apply their discretion. आपको जमे तो आप up to 20% आप दे सकते हैं, wherein there is a sovereign guarantee offered by the government for a period of 4 years. Now this is a practical difficulty that we have faced in one instant account. Nidhi, I think you can take it forward from here. Again, as and when need arises, we'll take it from here.
So very well explained. We all know how practical is different from theory. I think that's the whole message in this fiasco. There are a lot of clients who are actually struggling to avail the 20% also because of the timing of they being declared as an NPA account and various other reasons. So maybe at this juncture, this other scheme looks more attractive. Again, in practically, this is yet to be implemented. Me and Vikasji, we were brainstorming how probably the application of this scheme will happen, because we do certain equity transactions together, and this sounds very, very attractive for the startups. And South being a hub for various companies who are actually having very low runway to sustain themselves. So many companies are eagerly waiting for the government to come and offer their partnership and keep their businesses surviving. So here, this actually could work like the SIDBI transaction which we have now. Government is going to decide on a nodal agency. So a lot of VC and PE firms are supposed to apply to the government and say that they would be the nodal account for certain transaction. In any investment which will happen, government is going to support the VC PE firms, and in all commercial viable MSMEs, a part of the transaction will come from the government. Partly they would be funded by the various private equity firms. The advantage here is, since government anchors and government is giving a token of acceptance to the startup, so their fundability and their acceptance of the idea becomes much stronger. So the confidence which an investor requires in a business is definitely much higher. So the government would act as an anchor investor, which technically in the scheme the government has called that the government would form part of the mother fund, And then there would be a daughter funds who are, going to partner with the government, and then they in turn would raise more money from various HNIs, various international sovereign funds, and they would invest in the startup. So the procedure to apply this would be through the investor funds onboarded and registered with proposed fund of funds. Government also, in their announcement somewhere mentioned that this would be kind of a roadmap to listing on stock exchange. So we are yet to, understand whether this would be given to only those entities who are willing or who give a commitment for listing on the stock exchange, or this is across available for the startups at large. So once this final announcement comes, the fund size, the allocation, everything is decided, then probably we'll see what is the true merit and how much the MSMEs benefit out of it. So this is with respect to access to finance. There are other announcements as part of the stimulus package. Global tender to be disallowed up to 200 crores. This means there is more business, of course, available to domestic companies. There are no fresh insolvency proceedings against MSMEs for 1 year. And the government, just to encourage and provide access to market, has set up a e-market linkage for MSMEs to be promoted, to act as, and represent for various trade fairs and exhibitions. Reduction of CRR by RBI, which all of us, we keep reading about it, and MSME receivables from the government, which was actually a paper announcement. Now in reality, we see after the introduction of the ROC MSME form, in reality, most of the customers have become alert in accounting the invoices and then releasing the payment within a period of 45 days. There is a fast track complaint redressal which is available on the Champions portal. Coming to the same example, what Vikaji was mentioning, of course, anybody who is aggrieved by any such situation, they can always come and file a complaint. Even the legal cost for such a complaint will be borne by the MSME department. Government's intent is that most of the companies, they should become compliant, make it big, and take the companies to the next level. And hence, there were certain announcements like the Company Test Start Scheme 2020, LLP settlement scheme, wherein any company, any default with respect to any particular filing, they had the opportunity to, do away with the late fine fee and pay a nominal whatever fee is there and complete with the compliances. This is quite a booster wherein instead of paying a lakh of rupees to make the company compliant, they could just pay a few hundred rupees and do the, the pending compliances. Quite an advantage. These schemes are getting closed on the 30th of September of this particular month. So let's talk about the best things which we can offer to MSMEs. What is the possibility and how, in terms of accounting, compliances, the tax amendments, the MSMEs would be benefited here. We all know how business valuations are worked out. All of us know about the DCF valuation. So when any funder comes to negotiate on a deal, he will first look at the business plan. There is a special slide which has been put up, pre-COVID numbers, post-COVID numbers. And the moment they look at the post-COVID numbers, the business valuations are all discounted. So this is one of the ways in which the deals are happening in the new normal. Some term sheets which are signed, they are also being withdrawn from the funders because of, citing reasons of, lack of business clarity and all those things. Even the term sheets which has been signed, these are being renegotiated by the various funders. The business valuations are impacted further so because of the devaluation in terms of business plans. There are companies who are also adopting innovative ways, to keep the businesses running. For instance, many of the key managerial persons, instead of, taking a cash salary, they have all agreed to a higher number of ESOPs which can be, taken from the company, just, to make sure that the runway and the survival of the company is not impacted. There has been, a lot of joint ventures. While these don't get published in the public domain, If you look at the RBI website or few other detailed discussions which many of the MSMEs are into, there are a lot of joint ventures which has been announced recently. Supply chain strategies have all changed. We are all CAs, so we know apart from the two-way reconciliation, also there has been a renegotiation on the various patterns in the supplies were happening. Funders are now looking at unit economics. They are looking at profitable businesses rather than giving money to the startups to just burn and grow their businesses. In terms of M&A, Reliance is the biggest example. All MSMEs, according to me, should learn from Reliance what is the best way to scale up their businesses in current times. Acquire smaller companies, build up your order book, and then look at bigger funding from the large venture capital firms or the private equity firms, because these MSMEs, they understand business, they know how to take their businesses to the next level. So probably this can kind of incentivize them or maybe kind of galvanize the entire business in terms of growth. And this can also lead to a ways to increasing and scaling up their businesses. What I feel, and my honest request to all CAs in all the forums wherever we get to meet others is to motivate MSMEs to grow bigger and take their businesses in a new direction. There's another, just sharing my personal experience. Many of these MSMEs now are looking for opportunities to include their next generation into the business. These, the next generation is not interested in coming forward for the traditional kind of businesses. If the same business has an element of digital, another, kind of line of channel of distribution, which is digital in nature, which has, a fancy look, which gives them the brand advantage, of course, the next generation would be interested to join the businesses and help it to become even larger. We know fundamentally the business is strong. They have a lot of real estate which is there, which is multiple exponential values now. But still, business per se needs to be attractive for the next generation to come and join. And people are looking at succession planning as a way to, join hands with the startups. This is a culture which is very popular here in Bangalore. So maybe this is something which can be replicated back home in Calcutta. We CAs can advise what are the best ways to cover up the due diligence crisis. So on that note, this is one of the ways of deal making under the new normal and how due diligence will take a new shape. As far as taxation is concerned, MSMEs are not immune from it. Vikasji, would you like to add anything here? Because you are working so closely.
Yeah. So, yeah, Nidhi, carrying on with this M&A transactions that we were talking about. Now, prior to that, there were a couple of other issues that I would like to bring before the House. First one is, let's say I've talked about the account must be standard as on 29th February for making an application to the bank for availing of 20% relief, this emergency COVID relief fund. Now, supposing if an account has actually been classified as SMA2, which implies there has been a delay in payment of interest or principal by about say 60 or 70 days. So still if it remains below 90 days, the account continues to remain standard. And I'm again bringing forth a case in point. Let's say there is a company who has availed of a working capital facility from say X bank. And on the other hand, they've borrowed from certain NBFCs by way of an unsecured loan. And in case of such NBFCs, the account are classified as SMA2. Again, this problem cropped up with the bankers stating that, well, you have been reported as SMA2 with the other lenders. So there again is a bottleneck for us to grant you this 20% further relief. We argued with the bankers that you are covered with a sovereign guarantee, and the SMA2 accounts are in some other cases wherein the client incidentally had gone ahead and squared off the entire outstanding. In spite of that, we had to face the music of the bank. So, this example came to mind, so I've shared with my friends once again. Coming to these M&A deals, what Nidhi was making a mention. So now is the time for consolidation and growing big. So in one of the instant cases where we are working for an HR and staffing company, a new structure that has come up in under usual circumstances. In case any acquirer likes the company, carries out the due diligence, goes in for the valuation aspect, looks at the promoters, looks at the business opportunities, he'll acquire it lock, stock and barrel. But as of now, since there has been a new normal, what the intending investors or the fresh acquirers, what they're looking at is going in for a majority stake at a certain valuation. Let's say majority stake would comprise of anything above 51%. Acquiring the business to this extent, asking the existing promoters to carry on for a specified period of time. The ball does not stop here. At the end of this period, say the period agreed upon is say 12 months or 15 months or 18 months, as the case may be, at the end of which the valuation would undergo a transformation once again. As to why this would happen, there are a lot of investors or acquirers or strategic partners as on today, they are actually discounting the revenue inflows for the financial year 2021. So this is already accounted for. What they are now looking at and they are interested in is how the company or how the business would navigate the present crisis, go back to its original levels, and what value addition it will bring on board. As a result of such acquisitions, what exactly would happen is, let's say an acquirer, I was talking about the HR staffing company or the recruitment company, it identifies 3 or 4 such potential companies. At the end of the period of, let's say, post-corona period, they would actually be armed with a good sized business wherein the valuation, of course, would be done at that point of time. Not only that, they would have a structured business in place, the infrastructure is in place, and they can, jolly well take advantage once the situation becomes normal. For the companies who are actually letting go their businesses, they are not able to manage their cash flows as of now. If you actually see, there has been a lot of pink slips given to the employees. There have been a lot of defaults in statutory payments or payments to the creditors or meeting, the day-to-day expenses in the offices. So these are the orders of the day. To mitigate these aspects, valuation, of course, has gone for a toss. Again, we are actually valuing a pre-COVID stage, during the COVID stage, and what it may fetch in a post-COVID stage. So we are actually evaluating what the business will throw up at the end of the COVID stage. As of now, identification of businesses are important, and of course, consolidation will be a big bet. We as chartered accountants will have a lot of opportunities on hand to actually guide our clients to make way for them to go into facing the new normal, go into facing, increasing the business volumes, the sizes, wherein they're actually lacking the financial muscle and the infrastructure as on today. There have been various strategies in terms of, deferring the impact basis of the COVID situation as of now. Only time will tell as to where we are translating, where we are migrating from here. The government in its own wisdom are trying their best, bringing up certain measures to take care of these aspects. Nidhi was making a mention. So I think, with SOPs given on all fronts, they've, let loose on, all grounds. I'm sure things should look up once the situation starts returning to normal. Over to you, Nidhi. Yes, Nidhi, please carry on.
I'll just take it. Just a small request, Vishnu is requesting participants to switch off the video. I am not able to do it at my end. Can I just request people to switch off their videos? Thank you so much. So as we are discussing decoding MSME provisions, we have also included tax reforms as part of the presentation. This is something, which would rather bring more professional opportunities to chartered accountants. At the same time, few of us who have been used to going meeting officers, we have difficulties in settling many of the appeals and assessment matters. So there are both sides of the coin here. Let's look at the professional opportunities. Currently, somebody who is based out of Calcutta is only limited to dealing with matters which are locally available. Now imagine the reach. You are able to represent a case, something which is there, hearing being happening in Delhi, Bombay. Again, with digital, there are no barriers as far as location is concerned. It is something like we are all able to join on a Zoom call today. Same likewise, the scope for assessment is going to increase tremendously for all chartered accountants who wish to scale up their practice. More collaboration will start. Supposing somebody who is based out of Bangalore doesn't have an intent or doesn't have the expertise to take up tax matters, it can also be, collaborated with a professional who is based out of Calcutta. So again, these all amendments all give an opportunity to various kinds of new thought processes, new kind of decisions, how the practice needs to be, taken forward. Of course, there's a revamp which needs to be looked at. So faceless assessments are going to be made effective from 13th of August 2020. All of us, when this announcement was done, even I was wondering what is new about it. We already had these communication with respect to e-assessments and other things. So while in 2015, government started with the e-assessment procedure, which means the assessments are going to happen over email. And now we have a concept of faceless assessment. There is a sea change. In email, we were able to identify which client, which officer. Only the mode of communication was changed to digital compared to, going and meeting the officer in person. So it kind of gave an audit trail to the whole assessment proceeding. That too in 2015, this was not mandatory. Government had made, soft launch. Then there were a lot of experiments internally. They were developing the digital media. Now the government is talking about in the year 2020 about faceless assessment, wherein they are trying to use artificial intelligence. All the documents, whichever shows any information which reveals the identity of the SSC, those data will be concealed by the system. So even the chartered accountant who is representing the SSC will not know which officer is dealing with this particular, matter. As part of the corporate governance, it's an immense initiative by the government. They are really daring. The problem is wherever assessments are also pending, they also, as per the draft which is available on record, would be moved to a faceless scenario. Even appeals are going to become faceless with effect from 25th of September. And CBDT on top of it has adopted a taxpayer charter, wherein it says that this new legislation is for SSCs who are transparent, who are honest, and they will be able to experience, the new India in a different compliance zone. The government is also trying to introduce a new Form 26A. Currently, the limitation is there are a lot of information. I'm sure all of you know, but let's have a joint recap. Government, many banks, various agencies, they share information with the government. For instance, cash deposit into the bank account. But all this is not in the knowledge of the SSC per se. We don't know what information is being shared with the government. But now everything has become more transparent. Like there is a circular which says that income tax will be getting the data from GST in an official manner. All these SFT transactions which are otherwise reported will also be visible in the new Form 26A which will be introduced. So day zero, an SSC has an opportunity to check their Form 26A and report any kind of inconsistencies that they have. Now look at the SFT transactions, the way the current values have been decided. It says a hotel transaction more than 20,000 needs to be reported. Any kind of online shopping beyond a certain value needs to be reported. Your transaction with banks, electricity payments above 1 lakh, everything needs to be reported. I have seen many clients who don't even maintain books of accounts for their individual accounts. The company is well accounted, there's an audit which is being implemented, but as far as these SFT transactions, the kind of information which they require, according to me, is not possible unless and until an individual has a Pakka account which can be done, and all your credit card transactions are also captured in an appropriate head of account. For instance, many of these educational, fees payment of our children, we just park it in the drawings account because there is no separate disclosure which is required at the moment. Now, the government's mandate is any educational payment above 1 lakh of rupees per annum needs to be disclosed. There are so many international institutions, we know, which charge more than a lakh of rupees. Now, if we have parked this in the drawings account, probably it will become very, very difficult to give an accurate amount at the time of return filing. So, all these information at source needs to be accounted accurately for our returns to be actually be accurate, and no personal appearances, so it will become very, very difficult to manage or to explain anything in person. It's only document which needs to be accurate, and it gives a whole lot of opportunities for CAs to get into this accounting part of the profession, make sure that all data which is reported in the income tax return is quite clear, accurate, supported by good evidence in case there is an inquiry. Simultaneously, government will be sourcing all these information from various other agencies, like shopping platforms, hotels, banks, education institution, and there would be a third-party verification of all the data which has been signed. Imagine now, even for share transaction, we have so many challenges in reporting. So definitely this is a good move, and MSME needs to be prepared about this new amendment which has been introduced. Regulatory relaxations, this is just a recap. Over the last 6 months, we have, series of changes. So together, let's have a recap on this. There was a reduction in the TDS rate, 25%, and all pending GST refunds. Many of the clients, where refunds for pending have been cleared off late. PF contribution, wherever there were less than 100 employees, has been paid for 3 months by the government. PF rates were reduced from 12% to 10%. Just a small sharing of experience here. In various cases, employee salaries are committed on a CPC basis, wherein if the PF rate is reduced from 12 to 10%, government is supposed to, the employer is supposed to compensate the 2% payment to the employee. Because of these limitations, there are many cases wherein MSMEs have refused to avail of the scheme, and they have maintained a continuous similar contribution of 12% as far as PF is concerned. There has been extension in terms of various due dates, GST, TDS, income tax returns. Many stuck income tax refunds have been cleared. Even today, if few refunds are pending, probably you can raise a complaint on the income tax website, CPGRAM's portal, and there is kind of a commitment to release the pending refunds. Many of the sections which were, allowing the government to have penal provisions applied to various cases, they have been, done away with. Decriminalization of companies, that is what they have popularly mentioned in their Atmanirbhar Bharat announcement. 16 compoundable offences are being shifted to an in-house adjudication and penalty mechanism. While this is part of the official announcement, the final guidelines, I don't know, maybe somebody who have an access, according to me, they're still not implemented, and reducing the compliance burden under various provisions of the Companies Act, conducting the board meetings, EGMs, AGMs by way of VCs. There are many matters like, for instance, merger approval was not allowed by way of a VC. Under the COVID scenario, government has permitted that these various matters, including approval of financial statements, can be done virtually. And however, the guidelines which are applicable to virtual meetings will apply here. The recording of the board meeting needs to be stored properly. Extension of due date for filing with SEBI, relaxations with respect to various provisions of LODR. Private companies which list entities on the stock exchange are not to be regarded as listed companies. This is quite a welcome move because this will ease the requirement, with regards to the fundraising process. This is part 3. There has been actually series of announcements. Many of them, many of us, we need to make a proper compliance calendar to see whether our team members have completed all the compliances in real time. Extension of Aadhaar PAN, now of course it is changed to 31st of March 21. Due date filing of returns for FY 18-19 is moved to 30th of September. So a lot of relaxations has been given by the government. Let's come to few of the other advantages on a positive note. What MSMEs can avail of? What does the India scenario look like? So here I have compiled, certain statistics from few research reports. Government is consistently improving in terms of ease of, doing business. We are now at around 55 position as far as ease of doing business is concerned. Whoever is involved with the incorporation formalities will know, like now PS, PSI, GST, everything can be obtained while we are incorporating a company. So that's truly amazing. A work which used to require a 30 days time period, we are able to do it in a 10-day time period. Corporate tax rate has been reduced to 15% with surcharge of additional surcharge, wherein the effective tax rate is 17.16%. Many MSMEs, make this mistake that instead of incorporating a private limited company, they run their businesses on LLCs. In fact, recently also for manufacturing, people have been incorporating LLCs. But just a small recap here, this concessional rate of income tax is applicable only for private limited companies which are incorporated after 1st of October 2019 only. In the whole process, there are a lot of MSMEs, they are closing down their group companies because it does not make sense to start a new manufacturing operation with an old entity in place. Even now, if somewhere it applies, it is our duty to inform the MSMEs that we should incorporate a new private limited company to avail the benefit of 17.16%. Of course, for old units, old private limited companies who have a trend of setting up new manufacturing units, calling like Unit 1 of Reliance, Unit 2 of Reliance Industries, it is better to incorporate a new private limited company. Dividend distribution tax has been abolished in 2020, and as per all research reports, they have now concluded India is the most happening and the most attractive investment destination because of the large consumer base which we have here. There is a young growing workforce, and the kind of disruptive ideas which people come up with, the kind of acceptance which is there in the market, it's quite amazing. I'm sure this is the latest inspiration for all of us, which is the Startup at 77, Happiest Minds IPO, which has been oversubscribed 150 times. Vikalji, do you want to add here anything? I'm quite impressed with how Mr. Ashok has kind of steered the whole company. His first stint has been with Wipro, 15 years. He has made it so big. He was instrumental to the listing of the company. Second was Mindtree Consulting. Again, 8 years of hard work, and he listed the company at D premium. And now this is the third in the series, which is Happiest Minds, and the IPO has been oversubscribed. So this is the kind of success stories which we can talk about in India. Reliance is another success story which we all should be proud about. And we all complain, many of the companies who approach us complain that their deal is not happening at the moment. Look at the Grow deal, wherein YC community has promised them to invest $30 million. So friends, the idea which I am trying to convey here is there are a lot of promising things also which are there in the market, and we can also advise our clients to go with a very positive mindset, look at various expansion plans, and this will also give more professional opportunities to us as chartered accountants. Vikalji, over to you.
Sure. So Nidhi, I think that was a very, very comprehensive presentation. I'm sure we need now to take the inputs from the house. Should there, one thing Nidhi, there were a couple of questions that were sent across this afternoon. If we can just quickly rush through, so we'll complete that as well. Yeah.
Okay. So, Rahul, would you share the questions here, or should we read it out from what was shared? Rahul or Vishnu, what should be the strategy here? So let me read it out. 1 minute, I'll just read across the questions.
I think maybe one question after the other we can take and quickly respond. so that we are covering all these questions. Yeah,
So
please
in
go
the
ahead.
chat box, there is a question, Vikaji, wherein they're asking any direction from the RBI for charging minimum interest rate as against the cap to charge not more than 14% for NBFC or
So,
9.5% for banks.
so in respect of the rate for this emergency COVID relief, the decision was taken as early as in the early uh, 21st of May 2020. The decision was taken by the cabinet that the maximum rate of interest in case of banks would be 9.25 and in case of NBFCs maximum would be 14, and this actually is regulated through the Reserve Bank of India.
Okay. So, Vishnu, does this answer your question? Is there anything else you would like to ask Vikasji here? I'll just get on to the next question. Is it mandatory to get registration of a unit falling within the criteria of MSME definition? I'll just complete the question. As I find from the Act, there is no mandatory provision in the Act, and in that case, making it mandatory as per the rules is ultra vires of the Act. So, Vikaji, the question is why should we register for MSME? It should be a default which would be given to all MSMEs.
See, Nidhi, you had made a mention right in the beginning that even for MSMEs duly registered prior to the amendments or prior to fresh, notifications, we need to register once again before March 21, March 31, 2021. All right. So
Right.
it is always advisable, in case a unit who is entitled and eligible to be registered as MSME unit, we should go ahead and register it. It's a very, very simple process. All what you need to do is to visit the portal Udyam Mitra, and instantly you get a, registration within no time, and possibly, follow it up with a permanent registration as per the prevailing laws.
Right. So here, like if we challenge the Act to this
एक
extent,
मिनट रुक जाओ
yeah. So instead of reaping some benefit out of the MSME guidelines, probably the energies would be wasted in questioning, the government requirement of taking a registration. So I think we should go ahead and just take simply the registration. Second question is, if so, what is the authority where to get the registration? So we have a portal which I had shown in the beginning. As per the Udyam registration.gov.in, the registration needs to be taken. Is it possible to all the units, whether registered with any authority or not, to avail preferences under the MSME Act? Because this is for you. Without a
Well,
registration, any preference is possible?
so, you see, what happens is since the ambit of MSMEs have been increased many folds as of now, that we stand off, in terms of investment in plant and machinery and in terms of the turnover, it is always advisable that, to go ahead with the registration. Very, very simple process. The lenders per se, they do have a leaning or a soft corner towards, these borrowers. B is the government has spelled out numerous schemes for the benefit of MSMEs. So one should go ahead and take the registration.
Right. Is it permissible, are the professionals like CAs, CMAs or CS required to get registration? And if so, with which authority?
Nidhi, you should take this.
You can also answer, we are both chartered accountants.
No, no, no. I think you should answer, please.
Yes, definitely we come in the category of services, and we should take registration under the services category. No special privileges to chartered accountants and professionals like us. So we are running a business now instead of a profession. So
So to
next
say.
question, yes. Is it required to report in the accounts on MSME reporting all the units, whether supplying goods or services, to be included in the report, and whether such units are entitled to preferences over payment and interest on delayed payment? So that's a requirement which the MSME Act 2006, has mandated. After that, we have various auditing guidelines. Schedule C of the Companies Act, everywhere there is a mention that various payments which are outstanding to MSMEs needs to be reported. I have only answered this question. What is the status of suppliers of goods and not a manufacturing concern? Vikarji?
What is, I didn't get you the question.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
What is the status of suppliers of goods and not a manufacturing concern?
So if that falls under the trading outfit, if it's a trader, so they cannot, avail of the MSME registration, as simple as that.
Right. And what will be the amount to be declared for manufacturing units having trading operations also?
So again, if any entity is engaged into manufacturing as well as trading, as per the definition as amended from time to time, you need to qualify in those two criterion, the investment in plant and machinery and the turnover criterion. If you are fulfilling these, go ahead and get the registration done.
Right. So what will be the status of a concern purchasing raw materials and getting it converted to the desired goods and then supplying the goods having no manufacturing unit or establishment as such? I think what they are trying to say is that the MSME has a manufacturing entity. After manufacturing, they sell to one of the group companies, which is a trading concern and which does not have any manufacturing. And this trading concern in turn sells to the final customer. I think this is the question here.
So, I mean, what exactly we are trying to draw home? I'm not able to get
Yes,
it.
so where all, which all parts of the transaction are they entitled to MSME benefit? The first is the manufacturing part, second is the pure trading part.
So pure trading part will definitely be out of the ambit. The first part, in case they get a registration done, should go ahead and get it registered. That's it.
Yes, it's so simple. Actually, I don't know why people, I mean, I've seen many clients even bothering our team members why they should take registration, what is the procedure, but it's like very, very simple and basic. So
It's available online now. I mean, hardly it takes less than half an hour. You can get yourself registered, provided you are, filling the form in its right perspective, giving the pieces of information as called for.
right. So these are the questions which were received.
Okay, now if there are any from the floor, any of the organizing team members, Vishnu or Amit or Rajkumar ji, anything, if there are questions further, we can take head on.
Sir, one question I received on my WhatsApp. What is the difference between SSI as on today and MSME?
Didi, please respond.
SSI is the small services registration which we used to take. I think this is substituted by MSME registration.
So that was earlier known as small scale industry, which has since been, ever since MSMED Act came up in 2006, and the various pronouncements or amendments that have taken place in last couple of months actually. So we have to be guided and abided by that. So SSI, the concept of SSI is over. We are now MSME. So Nidhi, there's another question on the chat box.
Yes.
If you can read this.
If the 90% revenue.
Sir, can I continue one question more with the same question?
Ek minute, Vishnu, she's reading out one question.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
Nidhi, please go ahead.
Yeah. So the question from Ravi is, if the 90% revenue generates from trading activities and balance from services, then company can eligible MSME registration. The question is whether are they eligible to take a MSME registration?
Yeah, so why not? I mean, services fall under, I mean, if you are fulfilling those two criterions, you can go ahead and take. What is the issue?
Right. So I think Vikarji, they are coming from an accounting and all perspective. In your books of accounts, Ravi, how I would advise on this particular transaction is that you have a cost center wise segregation, and anyway probably where you are giving a declaration, you can always give transparent data with respect to the services part and with respect to your trading transactions. However, MSME registration can be definitely be taken for you. You can just mention about your services business.
Yeah, Vishnu, what was your question, like in continuity?
in the continuity, they were asking that they are having one factory in Madhupur, Bihar, and they were asking that how we will apply for the capital subsidy to the SSI.
So in terms of subsidy, first of all, there is no concept of SSI as of now. It's all under MSME. Okay. Now, in case you are registered for application for subsidy, every state have announces from time to time various state subsidies. Okay. In terms of capital subsidy, it all depends. See, Madhupur falls in Bihar. So the government of Bihar, they announce the subsidies from time to time. You can jolly well go to the district industry center wherever the unit is located, and based on your eligibility, you can make an application there.
Okay. Okay. For the viewers to ask the question to the expert committees, experts.
So let me share one more instance with the house. I mean, if there are no questions, I think Nidhi, there is another case that I want to discuss.
Right.
So, as I was mentioning, as I've given examples of various borrowers reaching out to the lenders in terms of their entitlement to at least 20% of the limits that they were enjoying as on 29th February. Now, even over here, banks have their discretion whether they can go in for 20% or not. Supposing in an instant case that I'm talking about, a client was enjoying a facility of 10 crore, the account was standard, falling within, the two important guidelines. Even then, they had applied to the bankers to give them a facility of 2 crores by way of this working capital term loan for an additional period of 4 years. After much persuasion and after much explanations or interactions with the bank, they came up with an idea of advancing a sum of just about 80 lakhs. So here again, we are under financed. So these are actually various grievances which the SMEs, they are actually facing, and these are actually the difficulties we are encountering with the lenders. So this was another point that I wanted to make. Yes, Nidhi? Anything else?
No, that's it. These are something which has been published, in terms of incentives. Otherwise, when we look at the bank's internal transactions, they have given a lot of relaxations to their customers. Creation of EMT, various other, insurance which needs to be taken. Many places we see that the circle office has given ad hoc approvals, for deferral of certain, parts of the sanction also. So otherwise, the intent across is to help, but there are unfortunate incidents where cases are stuck, where they are not extending the 20% top-up. So these are, some of the unfortunate things.
So these are just experiences, Nidhi, which I've brought it before the house with our fellow colleagues. That these are some of the things that we face when we actually reach out to the lenders or the bankers per se.
Right. So otherwise, let's end this on a positive note. I hope it goes very well. Yes. And we have all CAs to guide our MSME clients in the best direction.
So Nidhi, it has been wonderful, to share our thoughts and experiences with this August gathering. Once again, both of us, record our gratitude for inviting us to be part of VIP Chartered Accountant Study Circle this evening. And with this note, a warm thanks to all of you, to the entire audience. It's over to you, President or Amit, whosoever is taking control. Now, please come forward and thank us.
I received just one question from WhatsApp.
Again, yeah, please go ahead.
They are asking that MSME sectors is very unorganized and they are also not properly literate. So for the purpose of solving their business needs, what precautions should be taken and what steps should be taken? They are asking the advices for the MSME sectors.
So again, Vishnu, going with the same thought process that we as chartered accountants, we should, encash upon these opportunities coming our way. If the client is not literate, it is the duty of you and I to educate and coach and make our clients more conversant with the prevailing laws of the land. A. B is now the scene presently we are all tech enabled actually. So taking advantage of technology and more so for the MSME segment would all be all the more be beneficial. Third is there are slew of activities, a slew of measures announced by the government. We need to interpret, try and apply what could be the best line of fit for these MSMEs so that they can prosper in their business, they can take best advantage of the measures that are in place. And last point is we as conscience keepers of the economic affairs of the nation, we should definitely come forward with a helping hand to all the MSMEs. That would be my answer. Nidhi, anything else you would like to add?
That's it, perfect. There are a lot of things I see, as CAs, we can do it for them. In fact, people come back to say that, we wish to start a new business, but we don't know what should we start with. What does the future look like? People come to us with all kinds of questions, which is possible.
That's
So,
a $1 million question, Nidhi. Supposing if we as chartered accountants, if we could know that how the economy is shaping, which businesses to go in for, I think we would jolly well stop our practice and get into businesses, I guess.
right, true. But this is what
अच्छा
we have to go ahead with it.
हाँ विष्णु, और कोई क्वेश्चन है तो बोलो.
हाँ हाँ एक छोटा सा और है. हाँ
छोटा
ये
बड़ा
पूछ
कुछ
रहे
भी
हैं
नहीं.
कि हाँ कि स्टार्टअप बिजनेस में गवर्नमेंट बहुत सारे सब्सिडी और रिलैक्सेशन देती है, लेकिन स्टार्टअप का सक्सेस रेट बहुत कम है. तो इस केस में जो फंड गवर्नमेंट फंडिंग करती है वो तो बेकार हो जाता है, वो तो ड्रेनेज हो जाता है. तो व्हाई सच मतलब एक जगह पॉलिसी ढूंढने की पूछ रहे हैं वो.
देखिए जिसने भी क्वेश्चन किया है, पहले तो हैट्स ऑफ फॉर रेजिंग दिस इशू फॉर द सिंपल रीजन हमारे यहाँ ऐसे ऐसे स्टोरीज हुए हैं जो कि वन रूम ऑफिस से शुरू किए हैं विद एन एम्प्लॉय. सॉरी, स्टार्टअप्स जो होते हैं विष्णु, एक आइडिया जर्मिनेट करता है और किसी भी बिजनेस के लिए पहला सवाल यही उठता है कि आपका आइडिया क्या है. वो आइडिया को जर्मिनेट करना, वो आइडिया को प्रॉस्परस बनाना, वो क्यों इनोवेटिव है, व्हाई इट इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द रेस्ट, हाउ इज इट डिसरप्टिंग द प्रेजेंट इकोनॉमिक साइकिल, और हाउ इज इट डिफरेंट, मतलब कैसे उसका एक एज आगे होगा, तो आने वाला समय बताएगा. इसलिए द आइडिया इटसेल्फ ये $1 million स्टफ होता है. स्टार्टअप को सक्सेस होने के लिए वो एक पहला बेबी स्टेप अपने को लेना पड़ेगा, तभी जाके अपने उसको ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सच अपने देश में देखो ना, ओला आया, ओयो आया, तो सब बहुत माइन्यूट एकदम छोटे छोटे स्टेप से शुरू हुए. एंड दीज आर जायंट्स टुडे. सॉफ्ट बैंक हुआ या इन्वेस्टर्स, आई मीन लार्ज साइज मिलियंस ऑफ डॉलर्स इसमें लगा रहे. क्यों लगा रहे? एक आइडिया से शुरू हुआ था ना. सो
बिल्कुल.
इसके लिए तो ये बहुत जनरलाइज है, इसमें तो कोई विद्या वाली बात नहीं है. और एक बात और है, ये बात जिन्होंने भी पूछा, ये बात और बता दूं, देयर आर मिलियंस ऑफ स्टार्टअप्स अक्रॉस द ग्लोब व्हिच फेल. वो सरवाइव नहीं कर पाते ऑनस्लॉट, वो सरवाइव नहीं कर पाते कि बिजनेस को आगे कैसे बढ़ाएं. सो नो रिस्क नो गेन. गवर्नमेंट भी तो एक रिस्क ले रहा है ना, स्टार्टअप प्रमोट कर रहा है, तो वो धंधे में पैसा नहीं लगाए, उसको एग्जामिन नहीं करे, इवेल्युएट नहीं करे, तो मालूम कैसे चले, तो हाथ पर हाथ रख के बैठे रहेंगे. So the idea has to culminate. अब ये जैसे सर्विसेज कंपनी कई जो आई, फॉर इंस्टेंस अर्बन क्लैब, अब आप देखो, या जस्ट डायल, कुछ भी अपने को चाहिए एट द नॉक ऑफ आवर फिंगर्स, आई मीन डोर स्टेप अपने सब सर्विसेज पहुंच जाती है. कैसे आया? वंस अपॉन अ टाइम ये तो था ही ना कि इसको, आई मीन शुरुआत करेंगे. ओके.
Yes. Now just a small formality. I just now request Vivek Bankari, General Secretary, to offer formal vote of thanks. Before proceeding to Vivek Bhaiya, I just want to make two announcements that this week we are managing one dedicated program on the IBC to be handled by Ashish Makhija ji and Subodh Agarwal ji, and one program we are hosting on 26th of this month to be inaugurated by IBBI member, whole-time member Naurangi Saini, together with Mr. Ved and Sumit Dadda from Delhi. Now over to Vivek Bankari.
Thanks, Vishnu. On behalf of Vipka, I would like to thank our own Vikas Jain ji and Nidhi Tatia ji for sharing the views. Both the speakers deliberated the topic MSME provision very nicely. Really, the session was very informative and interactive, and I am sure it will give the value addition to our professional knowledge. Thanks a lot. Thanks to all viewers for joining. Thanks a lot.
Namaste.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining this program. Thank you, Nidhi ji. Thank you, Vikas
Thank
ji.
you, Nidhi ji.
Vikas bhaiya.
Thank you, Vikas ji. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
My pleasure. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Vishnu, I think I have made you the host. Anything else? Can I stop?
No, the program is over now. No issue.
Can I just stop? Because I made you the host.
Sure,
na?
sure. Thank you.
Things are there.
No problem. No problem, madam. No